Hello everyone, my name is Jessica Campos and I am the founder of Impact Line Digital. Always love to introduce myself as the recovered attorney that turned herself into a wellness marketer. We actually wrote a book and there's a whole chapter about the story, so I'm not going to bore you with that. Just to let you know, if you are curious about how did that pivot happen, you're more than welcome to check it out. We just reached bestseller and I'm super excited. What I want to talk to you in this video is how can you drive food traffic to your wellness studio. Let's face it, it's halftime in your business year. This is the time when I know that you want to be taking vacations, your kids might be out of school and you're like, I gotta work, I need to make this work. And now the best news is that you still can make it work and there's a ton of time that you have in order to make a good pivot. But on the other side, I understand that we might not have too much room to wiggle on that pivot, so precision is going to be very important. So here's what I can tell you from our experience on when we start working with wellness businesses, right? So normally the conversation that we have when we talk about, so tell me, how are you currently getting clients? Normally we hear something like, well, we're getting referrals from clients, we have a team and we do social media posts, but we know we should be doing better. Our content can do better. It feels like it has gotten into a plateau. It doesn't really make us feel that we're putting our best, image out there, but it kind of does the work. Then occasionally we go out and we do events and we put a vendor booth and then we come back with leads. Then we also try to do events marketing, but we don't really have somebody full time. We really would love to have somebody full time, but it's kind of like a job on its own. And I'm the only person here. I'm also supposed to be doing, customer service, growing the business, all of those things. And we used to go to Chamber of Commerce, to BNI, but then we really don't have too much time anymore. And occasionally we also do some discounting offers, but honestly, we don't know what else we can do. I think it's just the people don't want our services. So that's normally how the conversation goes. So I'm kind of like going to save us some time. And I want to tell you that if you and I were having that conversation, this is like what I will tell you. So this video, I hope that it helps you to cut some time and to put you to think. And then my goal with this is that when you and I get to talk, we get to have a conversation when we really roll our sleeves and see what are the strategies that you're thinking that you're missing and how can we do the pivot as quick as possible and as more precise as possible, right? We don't want to waste, money in your marketing budget by any means. And, you don't have the time and you don't have the budget, right? So we need to be very efficient with that, right? What you are going through is really nothing that we have not heard before. I will say something as a disclaimer. I only work with clients that don't compete with each other. And because of that, I don't actually will reveal the name of the companies that I work with because I really still follow the way that I would just engage with my clients when I used to be an attorney. I really believe that I need to make sure that there is no ethical conflict. And because of that, you are not going to see from my content anything that reveals names or anything like that, because the strategies that I'm going to show you are actually strategies that are basically from the real work that we have been doing in this space. Okay, so just to make sure that we get that very clear. Okay. Going back to the conversation, right? Like when you're like, well, you told me everything. And then I would say, so how is your CRM, right? Like, are you confident that the information is working? Are you confident that it's triggering? Here, we even hear some terrible stories that I hope that you're not one of those, because if you're dealing with inconsistent leads and on top of that, you don't know if your CRM is working, we need to do some surgery, my friend. But normally our CRM, it's going to be where we can find some information such as what is going to be your average transaction value. You want to see further why that matters. I want to know from your CRM, how long is your sales cycle? I want to know from your CRM, what is the ratio from somebody that is booking a tour to somebody that is going to turn into a customer. I want to know from your CRM, what does it look like, your lead flow, right? Like, do you have a pipeline? Can we see the percentage of the leads versus customers, and then wins and losses? And the more granular you can be with your CRM, the better we can be as your marketing team, because we believe that marketing and sales should play team, should be together. That doesn't mean that marketing and sales will require the same skills or even the same strategies, to be honest with you, especially now with AI. Okay, so no worries. We're gonna fix this. And by the way, I do have a golden doodle. Her name is Violet, so I put this here. So I'll be like, "Aw, Violet, let's get this going." So here is the latest findings from the reports from our clients that actually are generating sales. Okay, so I am not sure, but I'm going to assume that it's a yes, that you're familiar with a touch point. A touch point is essentially the sequence of events that will need to happen before a future buyer will make the decision to get closer to you and even consider to work with you or to join you or to even visit you. In this case, these are the touch points that are normally going to be very, very important in order for somebody to see your brand and make the decision to go to your location. Okay, very, very important. We're here narrowing this topic to foot traffic. Okay, so normally it will look something like this. Okay, they will see you on the Google business profile because they Google something and then it popped out because you are on the map. Okay, then they saw a landing page. They kind of like go around and see some social proof. Depending on your transaction value, we're going to see further that they might be interested in taking a look at educational content or not. Then there's an intro offer, definitely, most likely, if you have one, we're going to see those intro offers to be claimed. And then this is where your CRM will kick in, and then you have a confirmed opportunity and a confirmed lead, depending on how many touch points you have and how your CRM is categorized. But normally, again, if you and I were having a conversation, I would say these more or less, it feels like you should see the same, right? Now, here's the thing, okay? When we get to optimize your marketing, we're not just going to talk about marketing touch points in which you're going to basically count how many new contacts you have. We actually go all in and we optimize the full cycle from how do you acquire the visibility, how do you turn that visible or visibility into the foot traffic, and further in, how are you generating sales? And one of the best clients that we have, actually, we are just crossing and crushing it and crossing our 6 month of our growth plan, and we're now seeing 58% growth in revenue. And that's because we are following a method that we're going to be sharing with you. And that method, again, is predicated in the principles. Number one is we really need to understand who is your audience, what are the touch points that they need, what do they need to see in order to trigger that foot traffic, and further in, how are we going to optimize your CRM in order to turn that visitor into a paid customer. Good news again, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. Now, here's what is very, very interesting, because in our agency, even though we are a wellness marketing agency, we're having this conversation because I said, not every wellness is kind of the same, because you guys will have like different niches, right? So I kind of try to create 3 buckets or 3 sub niches within the wellness industry, because definitely your consumers are not the same consumer. They're not having the same mindset, okay? So here's what we see. Normally, the performance and recovery studios, this is like if you have single services like cryotherapy, PMF, you offer just feedback. Normally, we see that you just need 1 to 3 touches and boom, you get somebody coming to your door. The ones that are in the category of regenerative and integrative clinics, think about if you offer stem cell, PRP, prolotherapy, integrative medicine, laboratory work, that is a little bit more of a complex transaction. So you're gonna need between 5 to 7 in average touch points. Then we have the holistic lifestyle and wellness brands. These are lifestyle based, which means that people who are actively looking for those services, they are just living a whole different life, right? So normally you're going to get somebody to be there at that level between 7 to 10 touch points on average. That's normally a customer that is coming with more curiosity. They're not necessarily going to show up to your place because trust is going to be a little bit of a more higher requirement before they make a decision to drive to go to your place. Probably they're in pain as well, right? So just think about people who are actively looking to make lifestyle changes. They're probably going through autoimmune disease. They're probably going to, maybe recovering from cancer. You might be able to tell me, what do you see on your end when I tell you this, right? So again, your CRM will have the answers to what we're looking for. Now, what is also interesting is that not only we have the case where subcategories are going to be very important in order to create your journey, but also the transaction value. And we see cases where you have this high-end offer. Like, for example, somebody that their offer goes up to $12,000, but then they have a very low tier that is essentially less than $1,200, of an offer. When you have such a big range, we might want to consider if we want to reposition our offer, because if that's the case, you might have just kind of like friction between the way that you're presenting your solution. Because here's what data shows. Low value transactions, people don't need to really think too much, especially if you're going to offer a warranty, if you're going to offer some sort of like a deal and they feel good about their decision. That's just an easy peasy. Anything under $100, it's going to be essentially in the flow that I just told you, which is like around 7 touch points. Then we have the mid to low value. Notice that the range is kind of big, right? So 100 to 1,000. That actually is more than double the touch points. So and from there, as you can see, it goes all the way up to 46 touch points. I don't think that unless you are selling this high-end equipment and you're in a B2B arena, we're going to be dealing with this. And normally if you're in a B2B arena, you might not be looking for foot traffic. But I'm going to assume that most of you are going to be low to mid-low value, right? So what that means is that we are going to need to adjust our systems to have more touch points. And if you want to make maybe a year offer, which can help you tremendously now that we are kind of like wrapping the year, that transaction might be going over $1,000, right? So take a look at this. You're going to be going from 6 to 24. That's 4x more touch points. And you might be wondering, well, how much more can I do? How much more can I educate them? How much more can I actually get them to tell them, hey, come here? That's actually where the strategy around how can you, in fact, create that conscious journey is going to be key. And like I said, I cannot really tell you all the examples of things that we do, because my clients are paying for our methods, and when we do a method, it's going to be custom to your business and to your client. But I can tell you one thing: between the keywords that your website has and Google My Business has, and the data that we have access to, especially now with AI, we can certainly craft a very custom plan for you where we map the journey of your future clients. And I feel that is where the money is just being left on the table. I feel like unless you really take the time to go over who exactly is your audience and maybe make some pivots on what is going to be our intro offer, and then realizing, hey, we just need to adapt towards what is going to be the offer to the expectations of our audience. And in that way, we just meet them where they are. Okay. Our method, we call them the impact line method to take your business to growth. We start with leads. I personally believe that leads are the heart of every business. And normally you either have an exposure problem or a conversion problem. Exposure happens if you go and take a look at your data and you're like, Jessica, my Google My Business is not even connected. Well, we have a visibility issue, right? But if you say, my Google My Business is connected, my website is connected, I have no idea what that means, but you maybe have an idea what it means. Absolutely yes, right? So if you have that visibility, but then you're not really seeing the number of leads that you need, which by the way, you should know by now how many leads you need in order to achieve your revenue goals per month, then we have a conversion problem, right? So we go around the different areas of your business to make sure that we are creating growth. Very important, that is sustainable, that is going to feel good. Lately, I've been saying to myself, I don't want to chase performance. I want to chase purpose. And I really want to partner with business owners who are really going to make an impact here on this planet, on this world. And then they're looking for somebody that can truly come with purpose, that can truly understand how it is to grow a company. I am basically a business owner myself, and my husband and I run this agency, and we are a service business, right? So that means that when you and I work together, I'm not going to farm your account, overseas or anything like that. In fact, we are a team, and we visit you, and we will be able to work together and really get integrated with your team. So what I say is stop guessing, start growing, and then really find ways that we can work together. We do have a growth program that is super cool because you get to pay based on what you need. And the start monthly for that is under $1,000 per month, and that includes some deliverables as well. And I just want to make sure that we get to connect with you so we can see where you are, and just tell me, what do you find out? How many touch points are you thinking that you need to do in order to pivot? So I'm going to quiz you, okay? I'm going to quiz you, and I'm going to be, making sure that you and I get to be connected, and